So good morning all. Continuing with the first unit, in today's lecture we are going to see what is constructor, how to define the constructor, what is the syntax to define the constructor, that we are going to see. Then types of constructor, there are different types of constructor that we are also going to see. And next is destructor, how to define the destructor and what is the syntax to define the destructor, that we are going to see. And the next I will explain this with example how to define the destructor, and everything I will be demonstrated once we complete this thoroughly. So what is constructor? In C++, a constructor is a special method which is invoked automatically at the time of object creation. So as the name suggests, constructor used to construct the object, and it is one type of function which will help us to create the object. It is used to initialize the data members of new object. So what is the task of constructor is? The task of constructor is to initialize the members of the data members of the class. The constructor in C++ has the same name as class or structure. A constructor is a member function of a class which initializes objects of a class. In C++, constructor is automatically called when object created. It is a special member function of the class. So when this constructor function will be called, it is automatically called when we create the object, and it is called a special member function because its name is same as that of the class name. That's why it is called as special member function of a class. So how constructors are different from a normal member function? A constructor is different from normal functions in following ways. Constructor has the same name as the class itself. The name of the constructor is same as that of the class name. Constructors don't have return type. For functions we have return type. For example, void display, void is the return type. So in case of constructor, they don't have any return type. A constructor is automatically called when an object is created. As I said, this constructor is called automatically when object is created. If we do not specify a constructor, C++ compiler generates a default constructor for us, expects no parameters and has an empty body. There is no body for the constructor. So in the last lecture we have seen a simple example of class and how to create the object. In that function we have not mentioned any constructor. In that program the constructor is automatically added by the compiler. So there are different types of constructor. There are two types of constructors in C++. Default, first is called as default constructor, and next one is called as parameterized constructor. So first we are going to see default constructor. A constructor which has no arguments is known as default constructor, and it is invoked at the time of creating the object. Default constructor is the constructor which doesn't take any argument. It has no parameters. So in default constructor, this constructor doesn't take any parameters and it doesn't return anything, that is called as default constructor. So how to define the constructor? So this is a simple code which will display how to create the constructor. So initially include this header file iostream, use the namespace std, and here I have created the class student. Inside there is public member. Inside the public I have mentioned this student. So this is the way to define the constructor. This name is same as that of your class name, and then open the curly bracket and close it. So this is the way to define the constructor inside your class. So for time being, I have mentioned only one statement over here, saved default constructor invoked, which will be displayed on the terminal so that you will get understand this constructor is invoked. Close the class. Inside the main, when we create the object student s1, this s1 object, when you create, automatically this student constructor will get invoked. When you create the object s1, this constructor student automatically gets invoked, and whatever code present in the constructor will get executed. So this is how you have to create the constructor. And this student, when you create the object student s1, when you create the object, this constructor will get automatically executed. And close the main. This is the way to create the constructor inside the class. Again I am repeating, this constructor doesn't return anything, this constructor doesn't receive anything, and the name of the constructor is same as that of the name of the class. So these are the properties of the constructor function. That's why it is called as special function. So this is how you have to define the constructor inside the class. And once you create the object, automatically this constructor will get executed. Moving forward, we are going to see parameterized constructor. So constructor which has parameters is called as parameterized constructor. By looking at the name, you will come to know that what is parameterized constructor. The constructor who receives the parameter, it is called as parameterized constructor. It is used to provide different values to the distinct object. If you want to pass the values for the different object, at that time this parameter constructor will help you. It is possible to pass arguments to the constructor. Typically, these arguments help initialize an object with when it is created. At the beginning, if you want to initialize the variables of the object, and it is the standard way or notation to initialize variables of your class. So in this case, this parameterized constructor will help us to initialize the object. To create a parameterized constructor, simply add parameters to it the way you would to any other function. It is similar to the passing parameters to the function. Similar way, you have to pass the parameters to the constructor. When you define the constructor's body, use the parameters to initialize the values. So with the help of example, I am going to explain this parameterized constructor. So this is the header file
iostream that I have initially included, and namespace std we are going to use it, and then name of the class is student. Again, my name of the class here is student. Now inside the class I have some private variables. These private variables are accessible within the class itself. You can't access these variables outside the class. So integer id and float tuition fee, that is T fee. These are the two private variables I have mentioned inside the class student. Then inside the public I have mentioned the constructor. So this is the way to define the parameterized constructor. Student, and these are the parameters are received by this constructor. One is initially it is of type integer and next one is of type float. Two parameters is received by this student constructor, and that's why it is called as parameterized constructor. And then inside this you need to initialize the variables, that is id is equal to I. This is our id variable which is of type private. You can access it within the class, and I have initialized this id with the value present in the I variable. Next is tuition fee. Tuition fee I am going to initialize with the value present in the T variable. So this is the way to initialize the members of the class inside your constructor, and you can do this with the help of parameterized constructor. And one statement which will show on the terminal, that is parameterized constructor, is invoked. So this is the way to define the parameterized constructor inside the class. So name of the function, that is constructor, is name of the class student, which receives two parameters of type integer and float. You can mention any number of parameters over here and any number of or any type of parameters over here. There will not be any return type. This is the one functionality of the constructor. You open and close curly bracket. Inside it you have to initialize the members of the class. That is, here it is, I have initialized id and tuition fee. So after this, inside the main you have to pass the values for the parameterized constructor. How to pass the values? This is student S1, and first is 10 is nothing but the id, and next is 50,000 is nothing but the tuition fee. So what happened when you create the object student S1, automatically the constructor will be invoked. So in this constructor we have passed two values. First is 10 and next one is 50,000. So 10 is initialized to variable I, whereas 50 is initialized to variable T. And then it is initialized to id and T is initialized to the tuition fee. So this is how this constructor, parameterized constructor, will receive the parameters and it will initialize the variables present inside the class. So in the main, return 0 because it is the integer. So when an object is declared in a parameterized constructor, the initial values have to be passed as an argument to the constructor function, as just we have seen. The normal way of object declaration may not work. You have to specify it by using the passing the values for the constructor. There are two ways to call the constructor. First one is called as explicitly, or next one is called as implicitly. What is explicit call? when you say student S1 is equal to student, and then inside the bracket you are mentioning the values 10, 50,000. This is called as explicit call. This is called as explicit call. Whereas when you say student S1 10, 50,000, it is called as implicit call. It is called as implicit call. So this is the difference between implicit and explicit call to the constructor. So what are the uses of parameterized constructor? When do you use the parameterized constructor? So it is used to initialize the various data elements of different objects with different values when they are created. It is used to overload constructors. We'll see later on what is overload and how to achieve it in C++. It is used to overload the constructor. So these are the benefits of the parameterized constructor. Now moving forward, we are going to see the destructor. As the name suggests, what this destructor indicates, name indicates, it indicates that it is going to destroy something. So memory is allocated by the constructor, whereas you have to deallocate the memory by using the destructor. By looking at the name, you can come to know what these two things are. Constructor, nothing but constructing the memory. Destructor is used to deallocate the memory. So now we are going to see destructor. What is destructor? Destructor is a member function which destructs or deletes an object. The function of destructor is to destruct or deletes an object. When destructor is called, a destructor function is automatically called when the object goes out of the scope. It's very important. When your object goes out of the scope, at that time destructor is called and that particular object gets deleted. So first is the function ends. When your function ends, at that time your constructor will get your destructor will be called. When your program ends, at that time destructor will be called. A block containing local variables ends. Suppose you are having opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. When it completes the block, that is, it goes to the closing curly bracket, at that time the destructor will be called. Next, when delete operator is called. With the help of delete operator, if you deallocate the memory, at that time destructor will be invoked. So how destructors are different from normal member functions? Destructors have the same name as the class. It is only difference is it is preceded by a tilde operator. This is the tilde operator. We will see with the help of example how to define the destructor. Again, destructor doesn't take any argument and it doesn't return anything. It is similar to your constructor. Constructor doesn't return anything, but constructor may receive the parameters. But here in this case, destructor don't receive any parameter and don't return anything. A destructor works opposite to constructor. It destructs the objects of the classes. So it can be defined only once in a class. Like constructor, it is invoked automatically. A destructor is defined like constructor. It must have the same name as class, but it is prefixed with the tilde sign. So with the help of example, we are going to see it how this destructor you have to write inside the class. So again, I am taking the class as a student, Inside I have constructor. This is my default constructor student. I have just mentioned over here the one statement default constructor invoked. So this is my constructor. So how to define the destructor? This is the way to define the destructor. This is the name of the class student and it is preceded by this tilde operator. So tilde and name of the class is represented here inside the inside the destructor. For just user purpose, I'm going to display one statement over here, that is cout destructor invoked. So this is the way to define your destructor. Again, I am repeating the same thing. How to define the destructor? It is preceded by this tilde sign and then name of the class. So this is the way to define the destructor. And then opening and closing curly bracket, you can write the cleanup code. For time being, I am going to write here one statement which will help us to come to know whether this destructor is invoked or not. So destructor invoked. So what is the function of this destructor is, the destructor is deallocate the memory allocated by the constructor. When it will deallocate the memory? When your object is get out of the scope, at that time this destructor gets invoked and it will deallocate the memory. So inside the main, you have to mention student S1, you have created the object. When you create the object, this constructor will be invoked, student. And when you go out of the scope, that is nothing but the end of the program or block or function, here it is. This destructor will be invoked automatically. So whatever memory is allocated for S1 object will get deallocated by this destructor student. The output of this code is default constructor invoked and destructor invoked. So this is the output of this code. Can there be more than one destructor in a class? No. There can only one destructor in a class with the class name preceded by tilde. No parameters and no return type. Keep in mind, there will be only one destructor inside your class. When do we need to write a user-defined destructor? When to write the destructor? If we don't write our own destructor in class, compiler creates default destructor for us. Keep in mind, when we don't write destructor, in the last lecture we have not seen the destructor, so automatically destructor has been added by the compiler. The default destructor will be added for us by the compiler. The default constructor works fine unless we have a dynamic allocated memory or pointer in the class. If you are not playing with the memory, that is allocating the memory, at that time default destructor is sufficient for us. But when you are going to allocate the memory dynamically, you can deallocate it by using the destructor. At that time you need to write the destructor. When a class contains a pointer to memory allocated in a class, we should write a destructor to release the memory before the class instance is destroyed. So in this case, we need to write the destructor. When inside a class there is pointer to memory allocated in class, at that time you need to write the destructor to release the memory. This must be done to avoid the memory leak. If you don't do this, there will be a memory leak. The data present in the memory and which is not pointed by anyone and anyone can access it, This is called as memory link. So whenever you use pointer to memory allocated, in that case you need to use destructor to release the memory before destroying the instance. Otherwise there will be a memory leak problem. So I'm going to demonstrate constructor and destructor. So is it visible code block? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just create the project. Choose the console application. Click on go and then say next. Choose the language and give the name constructor name. Click on next and say finish. So inside this is the by default code provided to you. So I'm going to define one class over here. First of all, I'm going to demonstrate the constructor and then I'm going to demonstrate the destructor. So class student, in this class I will have public and then I'm going to define the constructor. So this is the way to define the constructor student, and I'm going to mention one statement over here. I will keep it blank. Now my class is complete over here, and inside the main I'm going to create the object of the class student. Student S1. So first I will save it and then I'm going to compile it. Mistake. Student. So there will not be any error over here. As you can see over here, there are 0 errors and 0 warnings. Now I'm going to compile the code. I'm going to execute the code. So this is the output. Hello world. So behind the scene, this constructor will get executed. So just to know whether this student constructor is invoked or not, I'm going to add one statement over here so that you will get the idea whether this constructor is invoked or not. I will just put one statement over here, student saved constructor. So save it, compile it again. There are 0 errors, and then execute. Once you execute, now you will get the idea whether this constructor is invoked or not. So output is what? Constructor invoked, and then hello world. When you create the object over here, object S1, behind the scene, this student constructor will get automatically executed. And to verify it, I have just mentioned over here constructor invoked. So I will get the output as constructor invoked. By looking at this statement, you will come to know that this constructor is invoked. And then one statement present in the code, that is hello world, will get executed. So this is called as default constructor. Comment, I'm going to write here default. So now I'm going to write the parameterized constructor. For that I require ID, integer ID, and float tuition fee. So here it is. I'm going to write here student. For time being, I am going to remove this. I'm going to write the parameterized constructor over here. So it will take integer I, comma, float t. And then I'm going to initialize ID is equal to I, and tuition fee is equal to t. So how you are going to invoke this? This is the default constructor. This is the way to define the parameterized constructor. This is our parameterized constructor. So how to invoke this parameterized constructor? You have to say student s1, and then you have to pass the values. Here it is. I'm going to pass 10, 54. So just save it, compile it. Just a minute, it will take time. This output is open over here, that's why. So save it and again compile it. So there are 0 errors, you can see over here. There are 0 errors and 0 warnings. So execute it. So output is what? Hello world. Hello world. So to check whether this parameterized constructor is invoked or not, I'm going to add one statement over here. Say out. Parameterized constructor invoked. So save it, compile it. Sorry, just there are 0 errors and 0 warnings. Just execute it. Now you will come to know that this parameterized constructor has invoked. Just by looking at this statement, this parameterized constructor is invoked, and the one statement present in the main is hello world. So now I am going to write one function over here to verify whether that values are initialized or not. Display and say out student ID is equal to ID, and then say out student tuition fee is equal to del And just I'm going to call this method from here. S1 dot display. Just save it. I'm going to remove this hello world statement from here. Save it. Close it. Save it and compile. So there are 0 warnings here, 0 errors. Execute it. Now you will come to that parameterized constructor invoked, and your student ID and tuition fee is initialized inside the parameterized constructor, and we have displayed these values by using the display function. Student ID is equal to 10 and student tuition fee is equal to 50,000. I am going to repeat this for another values. I am going to add the ID 60 and tuition fees. Save it, compare it. There are 0 errors and 0 warnings, and just see whether this new value has been initialized to this ID and tuition fee, which will be displayed here inside the display method. So yes, output is parameterized constructor invoked, student ID is equal to 11 and tuition fee is equal to 60,000. So next is destructor. How to define the destructor? In the same, I'm going to define the destructor. Name of the destructor is same as that of your class name, and it's just preceded by this tilde sign, and inside this is the way to define the destructor. This is a destructor. I'm going to execute it. So I will get this output: parameterized constructor invoked, student ID is equal to 11, tuition fee is equal to 60,000. And just to know that whether this destructor has been invoked or not, I'm going to add one statement over here. Destructor invoked. Just save it, compile it, and execute. So look, this is the statement destructor invoked, which will be printed, means this destructor student is executed. It is executed at the end of the, when your main is at the end. So this is the way to define constructor and destructor inside the class. So for homework to you, whatever you implemented in last lecture, just add the constructor and destructor, demonstrate it yourself and get it understood how to define the destructor, how to define the constructor, and understand the basic concept. What is the function of destructor? What is the function of constructor? It will be helpful to understand the